Hi, this video is going to be about how easy it is to solo roleplay. And yet, many solos out there, I wouldn't even call them solo roleplayers, many solos out there do not do it because they have no idea what role-playing games are about. They have no clue about roleplay, about immersion. Immersion is actually living the adventure. You cannot accomplish that unless you describe your character's actions, you stay in character. You're not playing this as a storytelling game, or as acting, or as a board game, or as a guessing game, Mother May I game. No, this is all about the roleplay. If you don't know what roleplay is, please check out the links in the description of this video. My beginner's guide to roleplay and how to obtain details through roleplay. If you write in the comments something like, oh, that is not roleplay, without watching those videos, I'm not even going to bother paying attention to your comment. Please watch those videos first. Okay, so this video is going to be for role players who actually want to know how to solo roleplay. I'm going to tag Alberto in this video because he was asking about this in my Discord, how to get started, or if it's worth it to play solo role-playing games. Yes, it is very simple. I'm going to put a link that will take you to a free Game Master emulator, one of the best in my opinion. It's in DriveThruRPG, the TriCube Tales Game Master emulator. If you want something a bit more advanced, I would recommend the Mythic Game Master emulator 2nd edition. Although, yes, it's a bit of a shame that there are so many solo role players out there that think they know what roleplay is. In the Game Master emulator, Mythic Game Master emulator, it says, you ask questions to the tables or to the oracle or whatever, just as you would ask a game master in a multiplayer session, in a traditional session. You don't ask questions to the game master because the game master doesn't exist in the game world. You don't ask questions to the game master because the game master doesn't exist in the game world. Everything can be obtained through roleplay. You maintain the roleplay in order to achieve immersion. Immersion is a sort of super awareness. You feel as if you are actually there in the game world, and at the same time, you are aware of your environment. You are making those rolls. You are looking at the values, the attributes, the powers of the character sheet. Your mind expands incredibly so. Now that we have those concepts clear, in order to solo roleplay, you only need to take your favorite emulator or set of tables or whatever that you want to use. If you want things a bit more advanced, you can use this solo adventuring toolkit. Let's say that I'm going to start a session just using the solo adventuring toolkit. I have no idea what the session is going to be about. So I just immediately turn to the back tables and make some rolls. And I obtain something like performance, performer, something. And I think it sounds a bit like perhaps a circus act. Why am I in a circus? And you see, and that's the error of many role players. They get stuck in the questions. Those questions, well, first of all, this is considered like the setup for the session. Those questions should be considered the inner character monologue. Just like in real life. Sometimes you think to yourself, can I accomplish this? Is it possible for me? Is there anybody home at this time, or in the office, in the building? That's inner monologue. But that is not roleplay. You're going to be roleplaying by describing your character's actions. Instead of saying, is there someone inside of the building, or can I see around the corner? No. I walk towards the end of the corridor and peek around the corner carefully. And that's how you start to get into the game world. How you start to live the adventure. Instead of saying, is there another way to enter the castle, and making your roll? Yes, no. I walk around the castle to see if there is another way inside. And that's how you start to live the adventure. For those that they have simply they lack the imagination, the intelligence. You cannot explain this to them. It will be like explaining the most beautiful work of art to an animal. Maybe you like your pigs, right? Or you have like a little pet, a mouse, and you try to teach the mouse. Oh, mouse, look at the perspective, the use of colors in this painting. The mouse is going to be like, it's not within their domain. And just because someone cannot imagine something or think about something, it doesn't mean that it is not possible. It just means that person has reached his limits. I was thinking about the little mouse. The person cannot go beyond that, but role players can actually do it. And stop thinking about role-playing games as movies or as theater plays or as books or as comic books. You are going to be trapped in a square. You're going to be constantly behind the television set, the camera, the stage, the theater stage, watching the performers act. Live the adventure. Just like in real life, it is here. Here's your awareness. And now this awareness can make the journey towards incredible, unimaginable worlds. I think there are many people stuck at the threshold. They do not achieve immersion, a more pure way of experiencing the adventure, because their roleplay, or rather their attempts to roleplay, get stuck. They are not living the adventure. So, moving on from that, I have my circus act scene because I made the rolls and I obtained performance or something, right? I go to the missions template section. I make a roll and perhaps I obtain an escort mission, escort quest. I need to escort someone in this circus, in this, like I said, it's kind of like a circus situation, that maybe a performer, like a great magician or a lion tamer or someone like a beast tamer. Depends on the setting. Maybe you have wyverns and you have like a wyvern tamer, right? And perhaps his presence is required in another branch of this circus company. You have to escort that artist, performer, to this other branch because they are in need of their talents. Because in your circus, you already have someone else. So now you have everything clear. You have your setting, the circus, the initial scene. You are at the circus, and suddenly the ringmaster tells you, hey, you need to escort Gregory, the wyvern tamer, and take him to this other place. So the adventure begins. And you start to move with Gregory along the road. And you think to yourself, is this going to be a safe journey, right? You start to make those rolls according to the tables. Make some random encounter rolls. There is a random encounter. You make a roll to see what it is, what you encounter. A corpse. I approach the corpse and I examine it. And then you make your rolls according to the tables to see what you find out. It turns out that the corpse has pieces of his body just ripped out based on the results of the tables. That means there could be a wild beast around here. Now, this could create a branch. If you're like a circus person, maybe you are interested in these strange animals. You're always looking for these wondrous creatures, right? And now, this is not discussing the ethics of circus and circuses and similar things. But in this fantasy setting, you are escorting this wyvern tamer. And suddenly Gregory says, you make a roll to see the reaction from Gregory. The solo adventuring toolkit has reactions when it comes to diplomacy, social encounters. And suddenly, based on the results, Gregory wants to see if he can actually steal eggs from these wild beasts, or if there are eggs, or perhaps capture cubs in order to get those into the performance act. So now things are becoming a bit more dangerous and you have choices. You could tell Gregory, no, I'm going to keep on escorting you. You can actually immediately say, I tell Gregory, I need to get you as fast as possible and as safely as possible to this other branch before anything else. And you make your roll to see what's Gregory's response to that. Maybe he agrees. Maybe he does not, and he actually runs in the direction of where he thinks the wild beast is. You see? So everything in solo role-playing can be obtained through these tables instead of a game master. And both the Solo Adventuring Toolkit and the Mythic Game Master Emulator contain tools to actually solo roleplay sessions as if you were the game master or dungeon master running a game for AI or artificial control players, obtaining the players' reactions based on the results from the tables. Anything related to combat, social encounters, their course of action, you can easily use the yes or no oracles for that. The player characters enter a room, and there is the typical statue situation, so common. You think to yourself, as a game master, are they going to interact with the statue? And you make your roll and it says something like, yes, but, and you immediately think, yes, but they are cautious about it, right? So maybe they start poking the statue with something, or they use a spell to manipulate the statue. It depends on the party of adventurers. So solo role-playing is actually very easy to accomplish. You describe your actions, and instead of waiting for the game master to tell you the results of those actions, or if you need to make a roll, you use the tables to determine what happens. As simple as that. Either way, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Alberto, if you have some questions about this, just ask me here or in the Discord, and I will tell you. Especially use the TriCube Tales emulator. It's free, and it is very short, unlike the Solo Adventuring Toolkit and the Mythic Game Master Emulator 2nd edition. Very small document, like, what is it, like 12 pages or less? And most of them are tables. Most of those tables, you are not going to even use them. Depending on the adventure, you have like horror tables and fantasy tables and I think sci-fi tables. It's been a while since I have looked at that document. And so just keep in mind that as you are describing your actions moving through the game world, the situations, the encounters, the details, everything will be generated using those tables. And this is very different from a multiplayer experience, because you're not making everyone else at the table waste their time as you're looking for a specific thing, because in solo role playing you need to page through those random tables, but you are the only participant. It is just you, so you are still engaged with the game. Tables for this. And because you are a role player and you achieve immersion, you can easily handle those mechanics while experiencing the game world. There is no reason whatsoever for you to go out of character. The experience is in the here, the now. It is here. You are living the adventure. As always, thank you for watching my videos. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that go the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Again, I think I mentioned this at the start of the video. If you don't know what roleplay is, obtaining details through roleplay, please check out the videos in the description. That's the original Dave Arneson idea of roleplay and immersion, not the Gygaxian distortion. Once again, thank you and see you later.